What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner. And in the words of my man Chuck D, back. Culture looking for the same thing. It's a new thing. Check out this I bring. Yeah, I'm back. Now, over the weekend, a shooting took place in New Zealand. Horrific situation. Now, instead of the media being practical, non-biased, instead of the media being responsible, placing the blame where it should be on the guy who pulled the trigger, what do? Hey, let's look at this as an opportunity to demonize Donald Trump. Now, just the fact that they would take something that took place overseas in a whole nother country and use that, something that horrific, use that to demonize an American president shows you just how far they've gone. They are willing to do whatever it takes to make Trump look bad. And really, it's an indictment upon their integrity. It's an indictment upon their loyalty and patriotism to America. It's an indictment upon their character. I mean, it just destroys them even further than they've already destroyed themselves. Now, let's talk about what they tried to pin Trump on. This kid over there loses his mind, goes into the mosque, starts shooting up a lot of people. And in his manifesto, I guess he referenced Trump in regards to white supremacy. But what they didn't want to tell you is that he also didn't like anything else about Trump. The man wasn't a conservative. He was a liberal. He said his closest political and social views are really aligned with like China. Because if you notice, China is not a melting pot. Nobody criticizes China about, Chinese privilege and they want to keep China all Chinese. Yeah, nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about China in the ways that they try to talk about Trump and America as just doing all of these racial things, and they're just discriminating and they're just segregating all that stuff. But nobody talks about China. Well, they talk about America. You won't bring in refugees. Nobody says, hey, China, why don't you bring some more refugees in there? China's like, nope, not having it. All of these politicians running around here in America talking about the new Green Deal and climate change and global warming. Nobody say, hey, China, are you guys on board? You're going to have to do something about your coal and about your resources as well. No, they're not doing that to China. They're not doing that to Russia. They're not doing that to India. But for some reason, all of these politicians and the media want to turn all of their hatred and anger and social issues inward on our president. Okay, so now the man, he said his social and political views were closer to China. He said he wasn't a conservative. He wasn't a Nazi. He was a liberal. Okay, and he wanted exactly what the media is doing to happen. He wanted them to start attacking the whole gun laws thing. He wanted to see discord within our country, just like, they talked about Russia and all of the meddling that they had to sow discord. Well, the discord only comes from the left, from them, for whatever reason, because they can't fight fair. They can't just actually say, you know what, we're going to beat you on stuff that makes sense, policies and stuff like that. No, what they do is they find a whole bunch of social issues that they want to push in our agenda, into our society. And then what they do is they just start saying that you're wicked, you're evil. You believe the babies should be killed by gunfire and kids should be ripped from their mothers and all of this stuff. Oh, you're a science denier. You want to see the whole earth blow up and all of this stuff, instead of bringing a reasonable argument to the table. So instead of winning an election fairly and square, what do? It was the Russians. They come up with the whole Russia collusion narrative. And what does that do? Divide the country, sow chaos, sow discord, sow distrust in our voting system. Everything that the Russians wanted them to do, the Democrats did it. Now, this guy shoots up some people over in New Zealand, and he says what he wants to happen, and the media and the Democrats are doing it. Okay, so now, the big thing they're trying to push is Donald Trump is a white supremacist. Let me put that to bed right now for all the eggheads out there. First of all, Donald Trump, since he's been in office and before, I don't recall him ever giving a speech that remotely sounded as if he wanted segregation, as if he wanted to get rid of all of the many minorities that's already here. I've never heard him even mention white supremacy outside of him responding to him being called a white supremacist. I've never read one policy that pushes anything that remotely appears to be like segregation or discrimination or white supremacy. Never. The narrative was given to him by the liberal media and the Democrats. He never did anything that would create the suspicion of him being a white supremacist. Now, let's go over some of the things that they use to say he's a white supremacist. So I guess then, by saying I want to secure our borders from illegal immigrants coming in here, translation to all the bubbleheads in the liberal media and the demon rats is, well, it can't just be that. It must be because he hates all people of color and Latinos. Forget all the millions of ones that are legal here in America that he doesn't want them to leave. Forget all of the ones that were born here in America. I mean, even though he's never mentioned anything about getting rid of them, but he's still, for some reason, a white supremacist, and he don't want these new, innocent, illegal immigrants coming across because he hates them. He hates them because they're people of color. You would think if he was a white supremacist, he would be trying to get rid of the ones that are already here. He wouldn't be trying to set up a border wall to protect all Americans, white, black, Indian, Native American, Hindu, you name it. All of them are here. There's this big old melting pot, and he's going, I want to secure the border to protect Americans. He does not deal with white supremacy, white, black, or not. He deals with American, non-American, legal, illegal. That's simple. But see, because the Democrats are lawless, it's never let's just obey the law. Let's create gray areas in the law by saying that if you support the law, you're a racist, sexist, misogynist, and you're a white supremacist. I mean, you're telling me because he says we should honor the flag, that translates in the mind of the bubbleheads, Democrats, and the liberal media. That translates into nationalism, but not just white nationalism, white nationalism. See, it can't just be nationalism, white nationalism. Just because he says, well, I mean, according to the real definition of a nationalist, I guess I am a white a nationalist rather. What do they hear? White nationalist. Just because he says America first, all of a sudden, that must mean that he hates everybody but Americans. Oh, not just everybody but Americans, everybody but white Americans. Never alluded to that, never said that, nothing about that. Everything that looks or appears to be patriotic, anything that appears to be emphasizing and implementing the law, anything that appears to be America first, all of those things, the Democrats and the liberal media has coined it to be something dealing with white nationalism. And I'm thinking, how are you getting this? I've never heard a speech that he's given that alluded to him believing or pushing white nationalism in our country. But yet, because they're corrupt, because they're just completely irresponsible, because they are filled and infested with demons, because they are corrupt, crooked, stinking, and lying, they have taken a narrative that they've given the president and tried to connect him with such a heinous crime as what this man did over there, which once again proves that they're the nasty, funky, crooked extension of the dirty, nasty, smelly Democrats. That's all they are. Now, if anybody out there can find me a speech or a policy that Trump has that talks about, hey, listen, the end game is to get rid of the current millions of black people here, millions of Latinos here, all of those legal and born citizens that are of color. The plan is to get them out of here along with keeping the other ones from coming in. Somebody please send that to me. I'm just wondering, because see, some people in our country have bought into a narrative that the evidence does not support. The facts do not support. History does not support. At least the history of Donald Trump leading up to now does not support. But yet, somehow, because maybe they got the hamster on the wheel, booking, running as fast as it can to keep up. Yeah, maybe because of that, they're willing to buy into this. And yet when you ask them, give me some evidence. Give me a policy that looked like it was designed to promote white nationalism. Well, what about when he banned the Muslims? Well, what about all the other Muslim countries he didn't ban? And what about the fact that those Muslim countries that he banned had a high population of terroristic activity? I call that smart. I call that a practical, logical, well thought out decision. That's what I call that, not white nationalism. And what about Charlottesville? What about Charlottesville? You mean the 3 groups that were down there and the one peaceful group that was mixed with all different races and they were supporting free speech, and the mayor or the governor of that state didn't let the police do their job? Therefore, innocent people was getting attacked by Antifa. Black man got attacked by Antifa, went up to the police. Hey man, Antifa just bust me in my head. Was he with the white nationalists? I'm just wondering. Was he with the white supremacists? And the police said, man, we've been ordered to stand down. So when Trump was talking about, there were some good people down there too. He was referring to them. But yet, translation, in the minds of the media, the bubbleheads and the Democrats, what that must mean that he's just equally distributing the blame. He's putting white nationalism on the same level as Antifa, and there's no comparison. There's no comparison. All of that stuff. Don't do the research. Never follow up. Never show all the facts, and therefore people running around going, he's a white nationalist, and I'm going to prove it. I'll wait. Well, just because Don Lemon and Chris Conehead and then Mika Lebrinsky and all of them, they said it. They said it. Oh, and then what about Bernie Sanders when he said there's a racist in the White House? Don't forget when he said that. And then what about... And I'm going, y'all have been duped. Duped. That's it. So anyway, I had to address that because I'm sick of hearing it. I'm sick of them saying, well, apparently Trump inspired this man. This man didn't even like Donald Trump. But they don't want to tell everybody that. They just want to just take out a little piece and give you that so you'll walk away thinking, see, I knew I was right. You know, you're not right. You're completely wrong. It's 2 left feet if you believe that our president is responsible for that man doing what he did. That would be like us accusing Bernie Sanders and all the Democrats and the liberal media for all of this division they've been pushing for a whole year, demonizing Trump supporters, demonizing people with red hats. That would be like me saying, at the end of the day, all of these attacks on people with red hats, all of these attacks on like Steve Scalise, all of these attacks that's coming from liberals are because of all of the rhetoric coming out of the Democrat Party and out of the liberal media. Now, as much as I know that they have pushed these false narratives and also created this image in a lot of Americans' minds, at the end of the day, those Americans still have a decision whether they want to do what they do or not. Now, you've been listening to Kevin and Kevin's Corner. Sorry, y'all. I had to finally address this jazz. Anyway, hit me every Wednesday, 7:30, live in Kevin's Corner. Don't forget to check me out on Facebook, YouTube. Links are in the bottom. Check out my radio blog talk show, 7:30 every Wednesday. Check out Extreme Teas. You'll love their products. Check those out. And if you like something, put my name in the promo code and you'll get a 20% discount. And then also, if you want to support Kevin and Kevin's Corner, there's a link in the bottom to do that as well. Don't forget to hit like, share, subscribe, and the notification button. And we'll see you next time in Kevin's Corner, where I try to make sense out of this nonsense. God bless you.